All right. All right. Shout out to the fam. Welcome. Now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Please feel free to get your prop bets in at FanDuel. And big ups to you guys. Appreciate y'all being with us on this Saturday night. Much love to the fam, man. A lot of great boxing stuff going on as well. That we'll be covering on Ring King's Boxing World. That'll be tomorrow, and TSC Unleashed will also cover that on there. Several really good fights that will happen today. We'll cover that. But anyway, in terms of what we're hearing from the black and gold and the NFL, man, let's dive into it. This one right here, shout out to Yard Barker. 3 off-season questions about the New Orleans Saints going into the season. Into the season that still remain. Of course, the Saints made a bunch of moves to try to, kind of appease the team and move it. A lot of young moves, like we knew eventually our older players, Double D, Cam, and others will eventually lead the team, AK-41. They'll get out, and then the team will transition from one of the older teams in the NFL to a relatively young team. And the Saints are doing that before our very eyes. We talked about this ad nauseum, and we see it happening. But with that being said, the team now is trying to find answers to fill whatever holes remain. We went through the first and second layers of free agency. We went through the draft, the undrafted market. We even added some NFL veterans after the fact onto the team, Anthony Jennings, and traded for Tyree Wilson in an attempt to appease some needs. But let's see what Yard Barker has to say. Y'all hit the like button as we get going in this stream. Much love. Now, as we looking at it, man, these are the issues that they're currently talking about on Yard Barker, as brought up according to Athlon Sports. And they talk about all the 32 NFL teams preparing for the OTAs and mandatory mini camps. Athlon Sports is going to go under the hood to see what questions remain for each team. Now, today's focus is the Saints, who haven't been to the postseason since Drew Brees ended his career with a home playoff loss against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers at the end of the 2020 season. That's right, fam. It's been a while since we've been there. To be honest with you, it's been a while. But if they want to return to relevance, and they do, in their division to get back in playoff contention, which they do, the Saints will have to find answers to these 3 questions as they prepare for the upcoming season. Y'all hit the like button, man. Number 1, can Tyler Shough be a true franchise quarterback, right? The Saints took plenty from me for spending the top 40 pick in last year's NFL draft on a 26-year-old rookie quarterback. But by the end of the 25 campaign, Shough had put together some of the solid tape against pro defenses. He was showing off all the positive traits we saw from his college tape, and he was able to avoid the injury bug that led to him to miss so much time and many more years of eligibility at that level. Now comes the time where Shough has to prove he can grow beyond what we saw during the rookie campaign and show he's got a higher ceiling than his pre-draft detractors projected. Listen, and with that being said, that's the point. You know, since those 9 games in the NFL, when Shough kind of came in and took the league by storm, I ain't gonna say by storm, but he really just did some stuff that a lot of the Whodats, including myself, never seen before from a rookie quarterback. That's the Saints rookie quarterback. Never seen it before. You know, had a winning record as a rookie, broke Archie Manning's passing and touchdown records. He, in 9 games, was the runner-up for the Rookie of the Year honor behind Ted McMillan in 9 games. So he did a lot of phenomenal things during last season. The key to it is, can he continue to climb in his sophomore campaign? That's the question that a lot of people are asking. Well, the Saints, and it allowed me to answer and give my take on it, fam. They are betting on that he does, and we'll talk about that. Let me finish this talking point. At his best, Shuck has shown above average arm talent with the ability to make sound decisions and distribute the ball with accuracy and anticipation. His college tape was riddled with head scratching moments, though, from wild inconsistency with his ball placement to turnover worthy throws that made absolutely no sense. If the Saints are going to keep building their offense and their future around Shuck as the franchise passer, he'll have to ensure that last year's effectiveness was not a fluke. Now that NFL teams have a year of film and an offseason of preparation, he could be at risk for falling back into some of those negative patterns that develop at the college level. He'll have to stay healthy if the Saints want to get the proper return on their investment and work their way up from the bottom of the division. So, listen, this is a very good point about Tyler Shough, right? Insofar as the year of, have a year of tape, 9 games worth of tape on Tyler Shough and the time to prepare for him. And the NFL is notorious for getting tape, figuring out what you do well, and try to take it away from you. So, can Shough be a true franchise QB? That's yet to be determined. But the key to it is that he's looking up, meaning that he's displaying the talents that's needed for that to happen. Now, we're not going to know any of this until way down the line if he could be that guy, because he just won, he in 9 games last year, he did some positive stuff. But the bottom line is the Saints are betting, and Kellen Moore, Mickey Loomis, the Saints are betting that Tyler Shough is that guy. And what are they doing? They've added so much talent around him. They've added, what could I say? They built the offensive line again, where you had the bookends and Tyler on the right, Kelvin Banks on the left. These are the prior to Jordan Tyson, the previous year's first round draft picks, 2 offensive tackles, one on the left, one on the right. The left guard, the best one in free agency, in David Edwards, solid offensive guard from Buffalo, was protecting Josh Allen. He's now our left guard. Eric McCoy, I've recently played an interview, shout out to the set with Tyron Armstead, where Eric McCoy says that he feels like he felt prior to when the injury started hitting him. And that is a positive. Remember, that was the question, is Eric McCoy really healthy? Because in some of the games we've seen in the last couple of years, he didn't even though they were saying he was healthy, he was getting pushed back. His strength wasn't all there. I never seen McCoy get knocked on the ground as much as I've seen a push down or push back. He's usually a guy that gets the leverage and is driving the defensive lineman back. Never the guy that's getting pushed back. He's never playing up too high. It's very sound technique. He said that he feels like he did prior to him getting those injuries. And those are the injuries that we've seen over the last couple of years, what led to him missing 20 games. Well, if that's the case, with 2 years remaining on his contract, we think that'll be special, because we need Eric McCoy to play like he did prior to the injuries, to be the dominant center that we know he is. He says he's beyond the injuries. That is a good sign. We have the right guard in Cesar Ruiz, who was pissed off that Mickey Loomis and the support base challenged his play and said that he needs to play better. And a lot of people demanded he be traded or released. When Trevor Penning got traded, there were rumors speculated that he was going to be traded at some point. It never materialized. But Mickey Loomis did say that they expect more from him, and he has, 2 years remaining on his agreement. So it's interesting, to say at least. Shout out to you, OG. I see you, bro. Shout out to you. Appreciate y'all in the chat. Much love. Good to see y'all. Molly Mall, Gundam, everybody. See y'all in the chat. Much love to y'all. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like button for me, fam. I'm not going to be dropping this one too long, fam. I got some other work I got to work on, getting the boxing stream ready for tomorrow. But listen, the bottom line is the fact that Ruiz is under the gun. The Saints drafted a massive right guard, Jeremiah Wright, from the University of Auburn, who is going to be the person that's going to be learning the right guard position. The Saints are looking to save some money. We know they're looking at AK-41 and getting some money back there. It's also the Cesar Ruiz. He needs to pay attention to this because they're into this thing, resource management thing that's making Loomis all this stuff that he's been prattling about recently. Oh, research management, oh, resource management, which means that the money, the production, and the money has to match, which means you're not doing that with Cesar Ruiz. That's why Jeremiah Wright, the big right guard, is there now. He is the future of the right guard position, and Cesar is hoping to stave that off and play at a higher level. We'll be watching that right guard spot. And then, of course, we talked about Tolly on the right side. So they have a very solid line. The Saints even uh, did sign Dylan Reduce. They still have Asim Richards. They still have Xavier Truss. They have several other players, Torricelli Simpkins, Will Sherman, and others as backup offensive linemen for the team going forward. So they spent some money and resources in trying to build that offensive line so they can run the ball, which is Travis Chain. Getting Travis Chain, spending $48 million. That's his contract to bring him in to be the featured back, the new featured back of Kellen Moore's system with Tyler Shough leading it. And Chain's a guy, speed and power, inside, outside, catches the ball like a wide receiver. There's a lot of duality with this player. So he's not just the one. This guy is a home run hitter. He could take it. The guy is really good. He could take it to the next level. He gets an opening, he's gone. So they spent some money on Travis Chain to give Tyler Shough a featured back that can not only run but catch and block. And then, of course, Elvin's still here. They're still bantering about his, seeing about they can take a pay cut to remain on the team. We'll see what happens June 1st. Will it be a June 1st post cut? Because Mickey Loomis has got a timeline on it. We'll see. And Ty Chandler was added along with, we have Devin Neal from last year's draft. The Saints have some other running backs there. Ty Chandler is added from the Minnesota Vikings to be a third, kind of a space back, multi-purpose type of guy to add more speed to the position. Saints added tight ends. Noah Fant to back up Juwan Johnson. They also drafted Oscar Delt with a third-round pick out of the University of Georgia, which means he will form a three-headed tight end tandem that will more than likely be used in the red zone side of things. That three tight end set that he can bring back in there. So the Saints spent a lot of money, in the free agency and in the draft and undrafted wise too. Not talking about them adding wide receivers as we get to that position with Jordan Tyson with the 8th overall pick. They have 8 picks. They took 3 wide receivers. Jordan Tyson at the top. Bryce Lance from South Dakota State was added as well. And of course, Barian Brown, who was added there. So they have speed. All these guys are fast. They can play football and they can stretch the field. So the Saints basically redoing the top of their wide receiver room, adding all this talent. This was in one season. The Saints added all of this stuff together. Today, building an offense in 2 years under Kellen Moore. So the thought process is that the Saints have the weaponry and the players to take it to the next level. Y'all hit that like button, man, as we keep pressing on the stream and hype the stream, man. Y'all that's something new that's been happening. I've been seeing, fam. But if you know how to hype the channel, hype the stream for me, hype it up. Hype it up. We talking Saints tonight. So that's the interesting point. The anticipation is the fact that the Saints have invested all of this money in these players, from the offensive line to the tight end room to the wide receiver to the running back room. Every room got a veteran or a key piece there to help it improve. None escaped it. So if that is indeed the case, the Saints are looking in a way where they're expecting the team to make the step in this upcoming season. That's the reality. There's no doubt about it. All of this is an attempt to help Tyler Shough improve the offense. He's not out there by himself. He got players he can throw at, stretching the field, and wide receivers, tight ends that are big targets, 6'3", 6'4" guys, 6'5" guys, big tight ends, big wide receivers that can stretch the field. Really excited about Bryce Lance and what he could possibly do for the team. If injuries hit, he could stretch the field and be a guy that he's a 6'3" guy that caught 17 touchdowns in 1 year. So, I mean, he's a big play guy. So That's fun. And that's why the Saints anticipate taking the next step offensively speaking with Tyler Shough because they spent all of this money in resources in improving the offense. And we'll see if it take flight. And I think it will. All right. So what's the next damn question you got, Yard Barker? It says, who will fill the veteran voids on defense? This is a great question because I seen a man online. I forgot if it's Instagram or X that asked about the Saints defense and said that the defense looked really bad. No, the defense don't look bad, man. The defense don't look bad, right? Dude, losing Demario Davis and Cam Jordan and Alontae Taylor, you'll have some slippage there. But the Saints will have to establish some things. They still Chase Young, Carl Granderson there on the edges. They still have Brian Bresee there who needs to step it up after getting that extra year added to his deal or that year being picked up, where the Saints ultimately will work out a long range deal right there on Brian Bresee. But he'll have to step up. We'll see what Vernon Brockton does. He was a raw piece the Saints picked up last year. He got hurt. I'm looking to see what he becomes this year, how the Saints will indeed utilize him. And there are other players on this team where you'll have to figure out the leadership roles. We have Caden Ellis as a guy that been here before. We know he's smart enough to run a defense and productive. He is a ball hawk, always around it. He sees things very well. Don't disrespect Caden Ellis's intelligence. But who fills the void, the veteran voids on defense? It's hard to imagine the Saints defense without Cam. Demario, it looks like the supporters will find out what it looks like. Demario signed with the Jets, and Jordan has yet to find a new home for the upcoming season. It doesn't feel like a return to New Orleans is imminent at this point. It is not. This stuff that Mickey and I talked about this in the previous stream, for those who missed it, that Cam, the offer that Mickey Loomis said is a standing offer for Cam Jordan is some BS offer. That's why he cleaned out his locker room and still is not even looking in the Saints direction. He wants money. He wants something in north of 7 million, 8, 9, maybe in the 8 to 9, between 8 to 10 million per year is what he possibly is looking for. And something so and word on the street is the offer is significantly less than that. We talking about something less than 6 million the Saints offered him. If he looking for something between 8 and 9 or maybe between 8 and 10 and you offered him less than 6, you can understand why he ain't taking the money. He's not going to take the money out of pride. And his resume, he felt like, hey, man, I deserve better than this. So Jordan has spent his entire 15-year career in New Orleans while Davis has been with the team for the past 8 years. Each player has missed one game during their respective tenures, making the stalwarts mainstay on that side of the ball. We definitely had some fortune there. Jordan proved last season how productive he can still be as a pass rusher at this point in his career, and Davis was still one of the league's better off linebackers. Both players have been somewhat underrated throughout their time with the Saints, and as much as the on-field impact has been needed in New Orleans, their veteran experience and leadership has been just as valuable. Replacing multiple players with that kind of presence on the same side of the ball won't be easy for the Saints. They have to rely on a combination of new arrivals, ascending young players, and familiar faces stepping into more vocal leadership roles to band together. And this is what it is. And this is what defense needs to do. And this is what'll happen eventually when we get to the big camps or the camps that matter. You'll start seeing chemistry develop on defense. And like I said, Pete Werner is still here. Pete Werner is not trash. Pete Werner is a good, solid linebacker. The Saints employed a strategy where they had a 60-40 split type playing time arrangement with Pete Werner and Danny Stutzman. Remember, the Saints drafted Danny Stutzman last year, and he was supposed to serve as a potential starting piece. We know the Saints reworked Pete Werner's deal, but he's still on that defense. For many years, he played next to Demario Davis and learned a thing or two. Caden Ellis is familiar with Demario Davis. These guys played linebacker for the Saints, and Caden went to Atlanta and came back to the black and gold, but he knows how to play this style of defense. He's a smart player. He can cover and he can make tackles. He can read defenses, and that's one of the things that you remember. I don't know if y'all remember this when Caden Ellis's first year, when he was down here, and I remember in training camp and during preseason, they had him in there running the defenses when Demario Davis wasn't able to play. During preseason, they had Caden Ellis in there running the defense, and he was calling out everything, telling guys where to be. And this is a 7 round linebacker who the Saints picked up, and the son of Luther Ellis, who was a very excellent defensive tackle for the Detroit Lions. So he got NFL blood, and he's been a productive linebacker. Man, people respect Caden Ellis. So he's a guy that should step in. Him and Pete Werner will work well together to figure all that out. But the pass rushing, Chase Young had a solid year. He's healthy going into the offseason. You talked about being healthy going into the offseason and working on your body, building it up, and then coming through the offseason into the end season healthy. That's what Chase Young talked about. It's a difference. Carl Granderson is the key. Carl Granderson has to step up and do better than what he did the last couple of years. It's about time Carl Granderson take the next step to get into double digit sacks, just like you've seen with Chase Young. We need Granderson to step up. He's making a lot of money. Carl Granderson really needs to step up. Seeing too much of Carl start the season off and then die off toward the back end of the season. That has to change. We need his production this year on the defense. And then, of course, they'll have to figure out the third pass rush situation. You got guys like Jennings and Wilson. They have to be able to figure that position out. Uh, uh, you have some other guys there, so they'll have to figure that out. That's the part of the defense where you look at. So the linebacker situation, not too worried there. The third situational pass rusher is something they'll work out in camp. And of course, the star role is very important. The biggest role is who's the star, and we'll cover that in another stream. We'll go over that. Who's the star of your team? The Saints have, according to reports, they're saying it's Jonas Sanker is the star. We only, some people saying it's Jordan Howden is the star. Some people saying it's Julian Blackman is the star. I don't think it's Blackman. If they're going to operate that star position, more than likely it's going to be Sanker. And that start thinking about it. I was thinking about it like, man, if they running three safeties, you got, you're going to have who you have there, the guys we started. But Julian Blackman comes back for 1 year. Blackman was balling for the Saints before he got hurt. He's a solid player. He just can't stay healthy. Jordan Howden, to me, would probably be a guy you want to put in the star role if Blackman is there. And, we'll see how it all works. But that's another thing they have to figure out, right? Situational pass rusher. Guys, Carl Granderson has to step up. We'd love to see Christian Miller. He's in there with Brian Brissett. That's your new interior. Where does Vernon Brockton fit in that role as well? We'll see how it all works and how it's employed, who's the star. And then, of course, the nickel, we talk about the star position, all this kind of stuff. But that's going to be key to the whole damn thing, because can if you think about it, can Sanker play that star role, man? Sanker was solid last year. Is can he play that star role? I mean, time will tell, man, and we'll see as we start rolling down and get to the nitty gritty. And of course, the third question was, can their top wide receivers stay healthy? Can the top receivers stay healthy? It's a good question. Saints already have one of the league's better young receivers in Chris Olave, but they didn't stop them from spending their top 10 pick in this year's draft on Arizona State's Jordan Tyson. From a talent and potential standpoint, this gives New Orleans a dynamic tandem of pass catchers whom have wide receiver one skill sets. And this is some of the one we covered in the first question that they asked of the three. Now, can they stay healthy? This is a good question because Jordan Tyson had some issues with injuries. He had that pro day where he was able to show that he was free of injury. If that wasn't the case, the Saints would have went probably Caleb Downs or something like that in the draft. But he showed that he is, and they went offense over defense there. Now, Chris Olave was solid all last year. They should pay him his money in my estimation. But when you look at his health prior to that, there was some questions. He kept getting the concussions. He put on a concussion-proof helmet, right? The best one they had. And I even said he should have the wrap that you put on the little foam thing you put on top of that. He said he wasn't going to wear that. I guess he don't like how it looks. But I would wear that too if I was him. The hell with how it looks. You're trying to stop the gig because you're trying to stay healthy. But like you said, the concussion helmet worked for him. It worked for him last year. He didn't play the final game of the year because of a blood clot in his lung, but he has stellar numbers and record numbers from the wide receiver position. And how do the Saints return him? Favor to him, they get Jordan Tyson. Now, Jordan Tyson is dealing with some management right now. The Saints want to kind of manage what he got going on because they know he's coming off of injury. They want to make sure he's 100% legit and ready for a physical camp. We don't need him having no issues. But even if he does, the Saints still drafted two more wide receivers on top of that thing. Bryce Lance, if can Bryce Lance step in and help keep the ship going? Barron Brown, who's a special return, not just a special teams guy, but he's a phenomenal wide receiver too. All the time he was in college, he averaging getting great catches for 50-yard catches, 50 catches in a season, and 40. He was very productive in college, playing for Kentucky, and then his final year with LSU. Barron Brown was awesome. So these are not just special teams components. These guys are used to being main players or mainstays in their in the wide receiver in their offenses rather. So the health, all you can do, family, if you to avoid the injury bug, is to pack your team with productive wide receivers and do it like that. That's the best you can do. And as far as what I'm seeing, that's exactly what the Saints are doing. They said the only thing that could hold that pair back is health. Olave has dealt with multiple nagging injuries over the past few seasons. The same has been said for Tyson, and his pre-draft process was limited by a hamstring injury that slowed him throughout the 25 campaign with the Sun Devils. So the Saints are dealing with that accordingly, right? They've done a really good job. And let me say this about the injury side of things for the Saints. Since they changed and brought in, I think the man name is Tom Rath, to the medical side of it, the Saints' soft tissue injuries reduced significantly. So that was really big. And that's was one of the main things to having a guy like that who knows how to prevent and cut down soft tissue injuries. Saints dramatically dropped this past season. So the health issue is you pray for him to stay healthy, but it's a physical game. Divine Valley, he was traded for, but didn't really play until later on. And he had some solid catches, man, tiptoe catches, some difficult catches inside. He ultimately got hurt and missed the rest of the season. Like I said, Chris Olave played. But what's really exciting about the Saints wide receiver room is the fact that you finally give Chris Olave a wide receiver to play off of in having Jordan Tyson. This is the first time Chris Olave had a really good wide receiver since Michael Thomas was here. They were hoping to have an Ohio State connection right there, but Mike Thomas kept getting hurt. But Chris Olave having somebody to play off will only help his game improve. You can't double down on him. You gotta be fair. But anyway, the rest of the articles, after trading away Rashid Shaheed at the deadline, the Saints had a massive drop off on the depth chart between Olave and the next best receiver. Tyson doesn't just make up for that. He's got the talent to quickly push Olave for the top spot. If they both can stay healthy, Shough should have a blast throwing to both of them, while opposing defenses struggle to focus on either of them with roll or bracketed coverages. But given their recent history, that's a huge if in the durability department, and they'll have to prove that they can stay on the field. But listen, this is the thing. The Saints taking a gamble on Jordan Tyson. They're going to pay Chris Olave. They're going to take a gamble on his health. They took a gamble on Tyler Shough. You see what I'm saying? Tyler Shough's injury history was worse than Jordan Tyson's injury history. Saints took a chance on these guys. They have faith in the medical staff to get these guys to where they reduce their injuries and get them on game. That's what they're looking at right here. The Saints saying Tyler Shough has some injuries in here and all this kind of stuff, but we want to build him up and make sure he's strong enough to absorb a full NFL season. Chris Olave is already a bona fide wide receiver that can tear you up. Getting Jordan Tyson there also takes pressure off of him. And it's not just it's one guy. That's what I'm saying. They ain't counting on one guy to do it. It's a team now. And the Saints not only added Jordan Tyson, he's one of many additions. Because even if you're talking about Jordan Tyson and Chris Olave or Divine Vile, you got to talk about the others. You got a $48 million running back and Travis A-Chain that catches like a wide receiver, runs inside, outside, and can block. So you have a lot to look at right there. And protecting Tyler Shough is the key. You got to make sure he stays upright, which is the Saints spent the money in David Edwards. They got the two bookend tight end tackles, rather, and Kelvin Banks and Tolly. And then, of course, they drafted Jeremiah Wright. So the Saints are betting on all of this to improve through the offense. Now, we know there is going to be a little slippage. I've said this before with the defense, because you got to, see what happens at the linebacker position. Caden Ellis steps right in there. You still have to find out who the third situational pass rush is. Granderson has to step up. You got to find who your star is. There's going to be some tweaking there on the defensive side of stuff. Vernon Brockton, what does he bring? Christian Miller be added to the defensive tackle situation. But the Saints are deep along the defensive line. They got Tyree Wilson here in trade with one of the 5th-round draft picks. Can they get him to produce a 7-8 sack season for them? So like I said, there are some questions defensively that we're looking at, but it is a work in progress. The Saints have all of the talent. They have the coaching staff. They have everything. They just need to put it together. They even did a really good job in appeasing the special team side of it, right? They did a really good job there. Charlie Smith is the kicker. They even signed the punter, Ryan Wright, one of the strongest foot punters in the game from Minnesota, to come in to help punt the ball. They got return people there. So the Saints smartly improved all 3 levels of their team. And now it's just the stability and accountability model, and Kellen knowing what he's looking at and just getting these guys on game to go through the season. Like, the Saints are headed in the right direction. You can't say that they aren't. But these are 3 questions that only time will tell. All right. So speaking of time will tell, what tells you? What do you have to say about this? Y'all fill in the chat below. Let me know what y'all think about this article and what we covered today on the show. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. FanDuel, get your prop bets in at FanDuel. Big ups to you guys. Hype the stream, man. Do me a service, hype the stream. Hit the like button. If you're not a sub up as we press toward 15K out here in the Coma. But listen, fam, this is a good 3 questions to ask yourself. Please feel free to give me your commentary. Tell me what you think. I will reply to you guys in the comment sections as well. Shout out to all of you beautiful people out there. You take the time to reply. I will do the same. It's just appreciation of you guys. And it's your support. Shout out to our Patreon and YouTube membership family. There's a new episode of On Cue with Big Q, our new show that's exclusively for our Patreon stuff. We really talk about some of the latest stuff that's going on in our world outside of sports and entertainment. I'll have that coming up for you this week, covering a lot of stuff. I think one of the shows we kind of talk about the nanotech side of it. We got some stuff we're going to talk about on Patreon we can't cover here. But if you want to join patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. It helps build our platform. It powers us, man, for our websites and all that we do. And it goes to a worthy cause, man. It keeps us putting out this content. And it really helps us. So with that being said, I'm going to see y'all on the next one, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day. I might pop up on Sunday and holler at you guys as well. Much love, peace, and who that to you. Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with thehootitdaily.com, your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit theWhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.